I just lost one of my biggest clients that I've had for a couple of years. And it's at a point now, I know we're talking about conquering, and I'm just like, dude, I don't feel it right now, honestly.
How do you conquer when there's chaos? That's usually like a good indicator that you're in the right place when it's falling apart. That's usually when you're about to reach your breaking point, when everything's falling apart, when everything is not aligning.
Hey, welcome everybody to Dynamic Range episode 4. We are on episode 4, which is wild. So I appreciate you joining us, hopping in here. And today we're going to talk about the third pillar of what we are building this podcast on. First, we talked about create, then we talked about cultivate, and today we're going to talk about what everybody wants to talk about, the icing on the cake, the mountaintop. We're talking about conquer. And so as always, I'm joined by my really good friend and amazing creative entrepreneur, business owner. He's got his hand in so many different things and is just such an awesome human being. Alfredo Briones, welcome to Dynamic Range as always. And it feels so wrong just to call you like a co-host. I don't know what title to give you. I know you're not into titles. That doesn't matter to you, but
It does.
I want to set you up on a crown, or no, not a crown, but on a big old seat.
You can call me, what people call me different things for different titles. So, but it's a pleasure to be back. It's a pleasure
Yes, sir.
to do this one more week.
One more week, man. Week by week, we're building, we're growing, and I mean that's the thing that I feel like we keep talking about through this whole creation and cultivating process, and ultimately conquering is about showing up every week, showing up when you say you're going to show up, and doing the things and making improvements, man. Like right before the call, like I just told you, I got this little 90 degree, if you're watching on YouTube, this little 90 degree USB-C adapter. So that way the cord's not, looping around. It looks a little sharper.
Those things
We got
make
your
a
audio.
difference.
I know we got your audio a little bit straightened out. Hopefully, we'll see on the backside of this recording, but spent a good chunk of time this morning dialing that in. So again, like making those iterations, what we talked about a couple episodes ago, to iterate, to not settle. And I think that's part of conquering, right? That's something that I learned working at the church, is like, hey, if you can make a difference, if you can make a change, like let's push to make it happen and not give up until we make it happen. So we're starting record just a little bit late, which it's fine. We're not on a tight deadline, but just letting our audience in to know, like, hey, we're making adjustments and we're pushing and trying to make this better every week.
Every week. And I try to even so one of my things as a creative is, I used to say that I don't like to listen to myself or watch myself, just because I cringe on just hearing my voice. But no, truthfully, like, you learn so much just from yourself, even just through this conversation. And so I think, like, our biggest goal is to continue to, like Steven said, grow and find different ways to elevate and help you guys as well through this journey. Because even just before even beginning, like Steven was saying, we started a little bit late, but just figuring out, getting to the T of a simple cable. Simple cable, just trying to figure out this auxiliary cable. And these are things that we do every single day, but no matter what you do, for some reason, at any set that you're at, whatever filming that you're doing, something always, either a memory card or a cable or something. But something that inspires me about you, Steven, is that you execute it. You get to the end of whatever you have to conquer, even just getting through this cable thing. It's like you stay focused through the whole thing until you figure it out. You don't fold, you don't break, you're just very sharp. And that to me is very inspiring. It's inspiring.
Man. Well, I appreciate that, dude. And it's not always something that I've always had. Like I said, a lot of it was picked up from the church and just like pushing through different problems. Because for me, like, I'm at the point, like, me, like, we do a ton of missions work all over the world. And so it's like, man, I can I can handle a lot of different, especially technical things. Like I can see past it and like, oh, it's all right. We'll just roll with it. But something that I want to push myself for is like, hey, if we can make it happen, let's make it happen. And let's try to push until the finish line and not give up. Because again, like just kind of going back to episode 3, where I feel like a lot of creatives fall short is like giving up right before the breakthrough. And honestly, bro, like we had this conversation yesterday, man. I just lost one of my biggest clients that I've had
Mm.
for a couple years. And it's at a point now, I know we're talking about conquering, and I'm just like, dude, I don't feel it right now, honestly. I'm just like, man, this is you know, I even opened up one of the first episodes like, hey man, running a business is hard. Starting a podcast is hard. Doing these things are hard, but it's only hard because people have never done it. And it's like just in having the business for over 4 years, almost 5 years now, it's kind of like I've gone through my fair share of clients and like seeing that door kind of open and the door kind of close and knowing what it's like to lose a good chunk of income, but also again having the faith and the belief in one in God to provide, but in two in the systems and the structures that I've set in place to be able to fill that and even more. And so I gleaned so much from our call yesterday
Yeah.
of just like your encouragement to me just personally meant the world. And just to hear another voice on the other end from another business owner and entrepreneur who has been through what we're going through right now. And yeah, if you just want to like let us in a little bit on that conversation that we had yesterday about, dude, what it's like to lose a client.
Bro, it's like, how do you conquer when there's chaos? That's usually like a good indicator that you're in the right place when it's falling apart. When
Mm-hmm.
when you're about to, or that's usually when you're about to reach your breaking point, when
Mm-hmm.
everything's falling apart, when everything is not aligning. I mean, look at even just what's happened in these past few weeks. Started a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You've been, consistent in social media, just everything that you do daily. And these are just things that, even just with our conversation yesterday, that, you know, dude, it happens to the best of us.
Mm-hmm.
And and even myself, I want to actually talk a little bit about it. But even just when I was in Mexico for the year, I lost one of my
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
biggest contracts, and that alone was was stretching. I mean, it just comes to tell you that you're, in the right place. At least in the moment, you can't see it. You don't
Yep.
know, you know where exactly. It's dark. It looks like, you know man, like I've worked so hard for this, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't understand. I've poured everything into even just this client, and I just think that even that in itself, my lesson that I learned, with losing one of my biggest client was just, we can't hold on to even our biggest client, because at the end of the day, God is in control. God is the one that
Yep.
helps us conquer, even just those types of losses. But I think, like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it as a loss. I truthfully believe that something's about to break in your life, and I just think it's not a coincidence that, you know, you just started this podcast, and that's happening. And it's inspiring to me. But at the same time, realistically, like I told you even just
Mm-hmm.
yesterday, but I also understand the weight that it comes with,
Yeah.
because as creatives, we have children, we have
Mm-hmm.
family, we have, you know, things that we. You're gonna say something?
No, like
Oh,
no, I feel you, man, and that's the thing is It is right now. It is hard. It feels like we're walking through the valley, and I know because, like I said, through experience, like I've lost several clients throughout the years of doing this, significant clients and significant chunks of income, and I've seen the Lord provide, and I've seen Him allow these things to help me to grow and to stretch me as a person, to stretch my wife, our family unit. Uh, I've got 4 kids, and so it's like, it's not just me that I'm providing for, and it's not just like growing a business for the sake of growing a business, but it's like taking care of my family. And so that's part of what I wanted to talk about was through this whole conquering stage. Again, a lot of people think conquering is like, hey, if I'm conquering, it's going to look like this in the bank account. It's going to look like this in the car that I drive or the house that I live in or the
Good.
gear that I
Yeah.
have, right? What what does conquering mean to you as a creative, as a business owner, entrepreneur, as a person?
Dude, it looks so different for everyone. But I
Mm-hmm.
think, yeah, it has changed throughout the years, you know. The older you get, your goals as well they change, they develop as you grow. But every day I always try to do something uncomfortable, whether
Mm.
it's, running some hills up and down till my legs no longer can feel it, or going on a 2-hour walk. Just doing something that is uncomfortable. Like doing that every single day has helped me conquer all the obvious, the daily, the
Mm-hmm.
day to day that I need to, you know, accomplish. But all in all, to say is what I've learned through these past 2 to 3 years, just talking to my therapist, is that we also don't have to. How do you put it? Like let me say it like this. You don't have to. You don't always have to go through everything in a painful way, or not everything has to be hard
Mm-hmm.
with everything that you go through. And so I think for
Yeah.
me, growing up, I've always had, you know, I thought everything had to be hard to be earning
Mm-hmm.
or to be rewarding
Mm.
or to, you know what I mean?
Dude, that's so good. Again, I'll point back to Omar Altakori, and he talks about like how a lot of people are hardaholics. We're
Yeah.
addicted to what's hard, right? Or we think
Dude,
it's hard, so we try to make it hard. And
bro,
go ahead.
sorry to cut you off, but like you get to a place where it becomes so easy to do the hard thing that the easy thing becomes hard. And,
Mm-hmm.
for
Break
a
that
long,
down. Give me
yeah,
an example.
yeah. So like, again, everything has to be hard in order to be rewarding, or in order to be like, you don't always work hard. You grow up, you grow up. I get excited about this because like it's so personal to me, because I grew up being, being told work hard, work hard, work hard, and then as soon as you get to adulthood, 30, you work hard, but then you work sometimes too hard that you burn out, and
Mm-hmm.
because you have no boundaries, you didn't learn the boundaries of even just not, reaching that place. And maybe we're having, you know, a different conversation, but I think, yeah, your question, going back to your question,
So yeah,
was,
just give me like an example of like what it means when you say that the easy things become hard sometimes after the hard things become easy, right? Like you're saying pushing through the hill until you can't feel your legs anymore. Like that's a hard thing. Bro,
yeah,
that you do that. I think about doing that almost every day. Hey, I think about, lifting or doing whatever, working out, but it usually doesn't happen. But for you, that's something that comes natural to you because you're used to pushing your body in that way. You're used to doing hard things that way. But then it comes to easy things. Maybe it's sending an email. Maybe it's
right,
talking to a client. Maybe it's something else that you may be struggling with that is really physically very easy, or even mentally can be very easy. It's just taking that step to make it not easy in your mind. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah, so quick story time, but in 2024 I spent an entire year in Mexico, and
Mm-hmm.
so before 2024 in 2023 I was working 8 days a week. I mean, I was burning out. I truly believe, the entire work hard mindset,
Mm-hmm.
grind, and yeah, I mean, I loved it so much that I didn't know how to stop. And when I was in Mexico for that entire year, it truly taught me, and going back to your question, I'm about to go back to it, but it truly taught me, I had no other choice because I had to actually stay there for a year. And so in Mexico, life is a little bit slower, or a lot more slower than here in the US. We work a lot more here. And so a lot more time for not just small talks, right? Long
Mm-hmm.
talks, sit around, actually have a good conversation outside of social media. And so rest, I didn't realize how difficult that was for me. The true art of rest. And so I think that's what I mean by the difficult thing became so easy for me, because I truly believe that I didn't have to stop, but I was actually burned out.
Mm-hmm.
And so as soon as I learned, even
Mm-hmm.
just in Mexico, just being there for a year, having the limitations of even you can't work. You had to spend some time there to understand, like, you can't work the same. It's not the same. I still ran my business from, a completely different country, but I had to learn no other option but to
Mm-hmm.
rest. And so I think that in itself was challenging.
Yeah. What did being in Mexico, being away from your business physically, what did that teach
Ooh,
you about building the business and ultimately what that means a year later, almost a year later that you've been back in the States, and how you're able to now utilize things that you learned in Mexico and building a team and not depending solely upon yourself?
bro. You know, Before I could conquer anything, I had to realize, that God has always been the one that could give me, the only one that could give me the true grace to conquer anything that I do, even just when I was in Mexico, which I think that needs its own podcast, because there's so much
100%.
insight, so much things that I learned, a lot of mistakes that I made. But
Mm-hmm.
I actually had to stay in Mexico, so it wasn't like I went to Mexico for a vacay. Like I had to stay in Mexico. I had no other option. For those that know what I'm talking about. And so, anyhow, so when I spent, let's see, the first 3 months in Mexico were so uncomfortable, because as a business owner, this is what that's this is what gets so I get excited about this, because in that moment when you're in the heat, you can't see it, you're drowning. Everything
Mm-hmm.
is dark, man. It's especially being in a different country, knowing that you can't physically be here to, let alone control anything. And so God taught me, number one, you're not in control, because you know just just physically being in a different country, not being able
Mm-hmm.
to be at the shoots, being able to speak to new clients, weddings, whatever, we may have. But yeah, so as a business owner, what it truly taught me is just that I'm not in control. That I'm not in control of my business, no matter how much I believe that. And so being so uncomfortable, like to the point that, again, I was so when I was back in 2023, like, I remember talking to my wife, like, being so torn, hurt, like, I
Mm-hmm.
can't find a team, like, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how I'm gonna get there, like, I'm I'm constantly working. Everyone constantly needs me, and it's just a one man band. You know, it's just one man team, and so as soon as I got to Mexico, it's like almost like God sets you up for that. He sets me there. What are you gonna do in this season? Can you trust
Mm-hmm.
me? I'm gonna develop you. It's gonna hurt. It's growing pains, and just in that pressure of like I need to find a team,
Yeah.
and you reach a place where a team it becomes good throughout the development. It's you can't expect the team to be great right off the bat. It develops and it grows and it shapes. You have to,
Mm-hmm.
again, do all the steps that we've talked about in these past episodes. And so I just think like, man, I want to keep talking about the Mexico thing, but I think it needs its own episode. But
Mm-hmm.
there's I couldn't have done that without the grace of God. There's no
Yeah.
telling. Just getting through that, and just so uncomfortable, right? Like I said, this is how you know you're in the right place. The moment your business starts to grow, think about this. My business started to grow the moment I left physically.
Mm-hmm.
I was nowhere near my business, no perimeter near. Like I had no access to my business, and that's when it started to grow. And sometimes God allows that because He needs you to step back and He needs to fertilize it. You're
Mm-hmm.
using the wrong ingredients, you know?
Yeah. Dude, that's so good. And like you said, so many times we take on ownership, maybe things that we shouldn't take ownership of. And that's not to say we've laid that foundation clearly on this podcast of like, hey, we're hard workers. We're the ones grinding it out. We're not afraid to get our hands dirty. We're not afraid to, do whatever we need to do to make ends meet. But sometimes I think from what you're saying, being in Mexico really taught you is just like, hey, I can be replaced even in my own business, right?
I was at the
And
back end, like, I was the face. I used to be the face
mhm,
of the business, and God was, God really humbled me there. That's all I
yeah,
have to say.
and it's really funny because the name of your business is AB Films, and I haven't asked you about this, but I think it started as Alfredo Briones Films for
Absolutely.
AB, and your wife's name is Britzy.
Yep.
And she kind of took over a lot of the front facing stuff whenever you're in Mexico. And so now people are like, oh, Alfredo and Britzy films. And it just works out like that. It's
My
funny.
wife is shout out to my wife. She's a
Dude.
genius. She is the one that encouraged me to change the name from Alfredo Briones to AB Films. So I
Yeah.
think she knew what she was doing.
Yeah. But that happened before the Mexico thing,
That
right? That
happened way
wasn't
before. Yeah.
yeah.
Unplanned.
So it's wild just how like the Lord works. And I'll tell you this.
No,
Uh
but again,
my old
going back from, or you were going to say something. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say my old pastor Brian Woodson. He used to always have the saying that he grew up hearing, Holy Spirit wears the skirt,
Mm,
and a lot of times if you're married, the Lord will speak first to the wife,
that's
and
good.
just always be listening to husbands, be listening to your wives and taking heed to what they have to say.
Bro,
Um,
I bring all my ideas to my wife.
yeah.
Every idea, every video that I finish,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I think I overwhelm. No, I truthfully think like she she tells me all the time I enjoy hearing everything. But I seriously like every idea I bring to her, and somehow she makes it better. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not even somehow. We know why. They're just better. They make everything better.
Yeah.
Anything that, just my wife alone. I just, yeah. Shout out to my wife again.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Yeah. So, any other thoughts about this whole conquering phase? What it means to conquer? What that means to you?
Well, I think the world wants to hear what it means to you, Stephen, because I feel like even just in this season of your life currently,
Mm-hmm.
even let's go back from the beginning of the conversation that we were having with losing that big client.
Mm-hmm.
How do you conquer when everything is falling apart, or at least it feels like it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, I've been thinking about this for really about the past month. So my wife is also right now currently going through a couple different health things that we're figuring out. Nothing life or death at all, but she's been dizzy. The doctor told her not to drive because she can't pass the drunk test in the office, the balance test. She gets a little wobbly, and so I'm doing all the appointments and school drop off, school pickup, all those things. And as a business owner, it can be a little bit overwhelming, honestly, to take on these things and to take time away from the studio, away from my office, away from shoots to be able to do these things. But then I realized, like, hey, this is not a curse, but this is a gift that I get to do these things. What we talked about last episode, we get to do this. And so for me to be able to conquer is like, hey, I'm not at a 9 to 5 where I have to take PTO or a half a day to go to take my daughter to the dentist like we did yesterday, or to drop my kids off at school, and I can pick them up at 3:45 and not have to leave the office early, or things like that I really find joy in, and things of, hey, I get to take my kids to their practices and see them do what they love to do. I get to go outside at lunchtime and eat lunch with my wife and two younger daughters who are at home, and go on a walk around the block together. And these are very simple things that I feel like we get lost in. And a lot of my mindset still, I haven't fully processed all this, but a lot of my mindset is like, hey, if it's pulling me from work, then it's a negative. And I have to make up that negative with extra work time.
Mm.
It's like, hey, if I spend an hour doing this, then I need an hour later doing this to fill that block. And sometimes that's necessary, but other times it's like, hey, no, I need to rest. I need to be with my wife. I need to be with my kids. Just like yesterday, I took Milo to his baseball practice, and then Willow, who's my oldest daughter, wanted to come, and I was bringing my backpack, like I was going to knock out 30 minutes of work, 45 minutes of work at the practice, and then she walked up with her volleyball, and I had a decision to make, like, okay, I could spend this 30 minutes knocking out this hour knocking out this edit at Milo's baseball practice, or I could be present with my daughter and play volleyball with her while Milo's practicing. And that to me is conquering.
Mm.
It's not, again, it's not being afraid. I'm not stepping aside from my responsibilities as a provider, as following through my commitments through work. But it is like, hey, what does my family need right now? Okay, let's do that.
Mm.
Clients will always be there. Work will always be there. It's like what Jesus said. He talked about the poor will always be with you, but the Son of Man won't. Right? That's when the woman broke the alabaster box over Jesus' feet, and the religious community was just indignant about it. They were like, "What in the world? She could have sold that and given it to the poor." And Jesus is like, "Hey, wait. The poor will always be there, but she's doing the right thing. That the Son of Man will not always be right here." And I think it's the same with seasons of life. Just realizing and having the awareness to know, like, okay, my daughter's 10. 6 years from now when she's driving, she's not going to grab her volleyball and say, "Hey, Dad, let's go to baseball practice with Milo together."
Mm.
And I know this is very like family centric and honed in on that. If you don't have kids, you probably don't understand the weight of this. But for me, like, I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that moment. I don't want to lose these times where my kids want to be with me, but I can't because I'm too busy working. I'm too busy chasing clients. And so for me, long answer to your question about conquering, it's really finding those moments of, okay, again, what does my family need? What does my wife need? What do my kids need? Not only what do they need, but what do they desire in a deep way, in a meaningful way? And then how can I, as husband, as father, meet those needs and meet those desires? So I know what it's like to have, not a substantial, not like a crazy amount of money in the bank, but have enough to like feel comfortable. And I also know what it's like to be praying for a check to come because bills are due that day, right? And
Negative
I've
20.
seen the Lord provide in both ways. And I think equally are stressful whenever clients are coming in, and then it's like fulfillment. How do I fulfill all of these things? And then there's the pressure of providing as well when the bank isn't overflowing with money. But again, for me, it's like, okay, in every season, what do I need to do? And am I willing to lay down my dreams and my desires and my goals to meet those dreams and desires of my family?
That's truly so inspiring, man, because I'm reminded by, as you know, my hospital days,
Mm-hmm.
I was constantly torn, just a little story time. But when I was in the hospital, or when my son was born, we were in the hospital for those first 2 years. And yeah, I was constantly torn by just the idea of not knowing if he was going to make it another day,
Mm-hmm.
or, do I go to this shoot because I need to pay the bills? Like, I actually need to pay the bills because I don't even have for next month, and my wife
Mm-hmm.
nor my kids are able, no. And I'm just, just thinking back at that, like, I think as creatives, we're constantly just torn by even
Mm-hmm.
just that question. Should I, should I finish this one more edit? Should I
Mm-hmm.
just spend this moment? And I think you always end up editing better when you step back away from a project and you end up being present. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think those days truly taught me that, yeah, I mean, as you truly do not know what you do not know. And yeah, every day be in the moment. I
Yeah.
think that's all I can say.
Yeah. Yeah. Be in the moment. Listen to your body. So many nights I want to stay up until, for me, 10:30 to edit. But like, I'm just like, hey, I can't. My body just can't take it. I'm tired. I'm worn out. I'm exhausted. And I need this break. I need to watch football and go to sleep. I need to be with my wife and go to sleep. I need to hear about her day and then go to sleep. And so, again, like he said in the previous episode, the art of saying no, it doesn't mean no to this project necessarily, but it can mean not right now. It doesn't need to be finished right now. It can wait until tomorrow or another hour or two. So, man, I know we kind of landed on a heavy note,
Yes.
but I think that's part of conquering. Again, like we're building this thing in public, and we want to be super honest. And bro, I thank you for your vulnerability, and you've talked about two of the definitely one, with everything with Abel, which I don't know if we want to get into or not in the future podcast, but like, bro, that's heavy stuff, man. And I appreciate you sharing a little bit from that side of
Yeah,
things,
man.
because I know that that's not easy. And yeah, bro, I love you. And
Much love, man. Love you too, bro.
people don't know. I'll end with this. People don't know. You just never know what people have been through in life. And Alfredo and Britzy are some of those people that you would have no idea what they've walked through, what their marriage has been through, what their childhoods were like. It is just astonishing to see the Lord's hand on your life and your business, and to see where you are. And I just want to say, bro, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for
Appreciate that.
sticking through it. I'm proud of you for not giving up. I'm proud of you for not losing your faith, for not losing your marriage, and just being faithful to the Lord. And we know that's because he's faithful to us first. So
Powerful.
I think,
Appreciate you, man.
yeah, the plane has landed. We are at the terminal, and I don't know how we got here, but man, we hit pretty hard. So I know this has been a little bit different than our normal episodes, but just want to say thank you for joining us on episode 4 of Dynamic Range. And we talked about how to conquer. And a lot of times conquering doesn't look like the way we want it to look. And it doesn't look like a number in a bank account, but it does look like being present and being in the moment, and also providing for your family. And I'll leave on this one note. I had one guy tell me one time, like, hey, providing for your family is more than just financial provision. You can provide for your family in more than just financially, but it's also being there and being present. And so I just encourage you, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, whatever you're setting your hand to, let's just take a step back and just realize the importance and the gravity of what this day brings, and try to remember, like, hey, what does my wife need? What do my kids need? What does my best friend need? What do my parents need if you're not married and have kids? And really be present in that. So just take that with you wherever you go. If you made it this far, congratulations. You're one of the few. Just shoot us a DM on Instagram. It's all linked below, or drop a comment on YouTube if you're watching there, or whatever platform you're watching this on or listening to this. Go ahead and leave a review for us. It really helps us out. And we are excited. I know it's been a heavy one, but we're excited to come back next week, and we'll hit it hard next week on Dynamic Range. So thanks for joining us. And Fredo, love you, bro. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Love you, man. Dynamic Range, episode 4.
Peace.